Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sewing an Oh So Pretty strike off. Actually, it's a leftover strike off because I was sent by Kelly from Oh So Pretty cotton lycra for my boys because it's a Pokemon inspired print. And I had a little bit of scraps left and I knew I would surprise them in a very pleasant way if I make one backpack. I don't have enough to make two backpacks. I have two boys, but I will make one for now and one when the pre-order comes in probably. So I decided to make a backpack for them. I'm going to sew my first time ever a Sallie Tomato pattern. They had a $5 coupon for Father's Day, so I snagged, like quickly as soon as I got their email, I snagged the Shaw backpack. I had one of you guys, actually, one of the subscribers from my YouTube channel, message me and asked me to do sew along for this backpack. So I figured since I'm making it, why not just tape it and show you guys the process. Again, as always, my disclaimer, I am not a professional bag maker. I do the best that I can. I sew just for my family and for myself. So this video is not to replace the designers' videos on their website with this pattern or any other pattern that I used. I will go over the pieces together with you. It looks like a fairly easy pattern, but we'll see. I have read through, like browsed through the instructions, so I have my phone right here with the instructions, so I can go over them while I'm sewing. So for this pattern, you will need obviously your main fabric, your woven interfacing, and all my pieces except for the lining are interfaced with woven interfacing because one, I would have done it anyways, and two, I'm using cotton lycra, so you don't want to lose the elasticity of cotton lycra. And the main pieces are also, most of them are also interfaced with foam. So you need a flap that has a main and a lining. This is part of the border print that comes with the round. The main is interfaced with foam. You need 4 straps. 2, the main ones are interfaced with foam as well, and 2 for the lining without the foam. You need 2 side pieces for the main, and they have foam on them. I already sewn my foam in. And you also have lining for the side pieces. And I'm using wool because 2 reasons. One, it's stain resistant. And the backpack will be for my kids, so it's bound to have juice bottles in it at one point. So I figured pool would work great. And 2, I wanted my interfacing green, and the only solid green I had in my house was a pool. So PUL, polyurethane laminate. It's what they use for cloth diapers most of the time. So it has a shiny side that doesn't let water come out, and it has not smooth, like a little fuzzier side. So that's my lining. You also have your back, which is interfaced with foam. The back piece also has a back lining, which is PUL. Then you have for the front, you have, this will have a zipper right here. Nope, it's like this. This will have a zipper, so you have a top, a bottom. This is part of the border print from the same Catch Them All line from Oh So Pretty. You'll see this on my kid's shirt actually, and this is all I had left from the 1 yard, which was perfect for this backpack. And then you have a lining for the front, then 2 linings for the pocket, and then you have some webbing pieces. You have 2 for the straps, and then you have, well, these, the long ones are for the straps. Then you have the strap connectors on the sides, and then you have 2, one is a handle, one will be a handle on the backpack, and one will be a facing on the back. And you also need hardware. I'm using as always, I'm using my Wizardry Stitchery and Crafts hardware. I told you I'm green obsessed for this backpack. So I'm gonna use this zipper by the yard in bright green with obviously their matching pulls. So you need 3 pulls for this, 1 for the front pocket, and for the top opening I'm going to use 2 pulls. So they will open like this. Then I have a facing piece, and then I'm going to keep my strap template to cut it round at the bottom. You also need, and I realize I don't have them here, but I'll grab them in a little bit. You also need 2 gliders for the straps and 2, I think, a rectangle. I have to double check, but I'll grab them. They will be Wizardry Stitchery, of course. Alright, so let's get started. The first step in the pattern is to add a facing to the front. Oh, and I also forgot, you need zipper ends. 4 zipper ends for the 2 zipper pieces. So grab your bottom. So from the, as you look at the pocket, this is the bottom front. Grab your bottom front and place your facing centered, right sides together. And you're going to be sewing it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm finding my center right here. I'm placing my facing. So that the centers match, but also the top matches. Like so. Here. Which mean on each side you should have 1 inch on each side of the facing of the panel. Oops, right sides together. So it will be like this. If you want to double check before you stitch it on that it's symmetrical, always double check. So I have 1 inch here and I have 1 inch here. Perfect. So now we're going to sew around this U at the top with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Oops, and make sure you turn your dial to a 2.5 millimeter stitch. Mine was as at 4 because I had added my foam before. And I have variegated thread on my comb, so that's why you'll see various colors of thread. See, red, blue. So this is how it will look like with the facing sewn in. So now I believe I'm going to cut around it. To remove the excess here, and then I'm going to snip the corners as close as I can get it to the stitching without cutting it, because with this you need to flip it on the other side. This is how the facing will look like. So I'm going to flip it so they're wrong sides together now. And of course, give it a good press. So this is how it will look like from the inside before I top stitch it. And this is how it will look like from the outside. So now I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch it. And of course, I recommend you give it a good press before you continue. And this is what it will look like. This is your bottom piece. So now grab your zipper and your pocket lining A and B. I've marked them so I know which one is which. Pocket lining A is the one that's 8 by 7 1/4. Pocket lining B is the one that's 8 by 8. So grab your zipper and your pocket linings, and first of all, go press 1/2 inch wrong sides together to create like a memory hem on both bottoms of pocket lining A and B. So the ones that are 8 inches. So they will look like this. Oops, using my zipper. So they will look something like this with the bottom folded. Then grab your 8-inch zipper. I added my zipper pull before, and press, align it at the top of the bottom piece A, so the little one, along the 8-inch line at the top, with the right side of the fabric up and the wrong side of the zipper down. So you will see both the right side of the zipper and the pocket lining, and sew that in place. So now we're basically creating the little pocket at the front. So it will look something like this. Take your piece, front piece, place it wrong side up so you can easily find the correct placement, and lay your zipper with the right sides down. So I'll show you how it looks like from the front. Sorry, with the wrong sides. First, you open your zipper. You separate your zipper from your lining, like so. So when you stitch them, they look like this, right? So now pull your zipper up and lay it on your table so that the wrong side, the white for me is the wrong side of my PUL, is up, and the zipper is right side down. This way your zipper pull right now is on your left side. So now you're going to take your main piece and you're going to place it like so, with the right side up. This way you're going to align first of all, you're going to center the zipper. So it might be easier to hold it like this and flip it. So, and work with the wrong side up. So now I align my zipper ends with the facing, and I'm going to pin them in place. And before I stitch, I'll show them again. And this is the zipper back part. So this is how it will look like on the back. And this is how it will look like on the front. So now I'm gonna go ahead and stitch. I need to make sure the pull doesn't get caught. I'm going to stitch the U, like top stitch the U, like though. And I'm gonna go right on top of my previous top stitching line. So, like here. And make sure that your zipper pull is out of the way. Back stitch and at the beginning and at the end. My kiddo will flip, and I bet I'm gonna hear, oh, where is my other one? So I'm gonna have to find a way to make another one happen, and that's easy. I'm just gonna pre-order one more yard of fabric. All right, so that is done. Oh man, I was not supposed to say all right. My oldest decided that I say all right too often. So he said, tomorrow your challenge, Mom, is to not say all right throughout the day. So I guess I already failed his challenge. Nobody tell on me. So this is how it looks like on the back and on the front. You're gonna take your other pocket piece, the pocket piece B, and align the bottom. This is what I haven't read the whole pattern, but I'm assuming this is where we'll be turning the bag at the end. So now it will look something like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch at the top. So you've basically right now created the pocket bag. I'm assuming I'm sewing the sides right now, but I will double check. Yes, we're gonna sew the sides and not the bottom. So make sure that you keep that away from your So this part is done. Your pocket is now created. So it's open at the bottom, but it's probably because that's where we'll flip. So now when I open it, you have your little pocket right here on the front. So take your top piece and place it the right sides together like so. Sew it down. Make sure the pull is away. I'm assuming next step will be to put the lining. And top stitch. Top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge, making sure that your seam allowance is towards the top. I don't think I've ever done a zipper with a facing before instead of zipper ends, but it looks pretty neat. You can see with the facing I still have my graphic right here instead of having this chopped up and here a zipper end. See, I have pretty graphic here. I like it. I think I'm gonna use this method again. So your front of the backpack is done. So now you should have a front, a back, and two sides, and some straps. Next two steps will be to work on the side panels and lining and main, and to prepare the little soft straps. So for the side panels, I don't know if you've noticed, but I did notice while I was cutting my my fabric that there is no bottom panel of the backpack. So I was like, what am I missing? Then I realized, reading through the tutorial, that the bottom of the backpack is actually made by the two side panels. So it wraps around the backpack like so, so it creates the bottom. So right now we're basically creating the side panels and the bottom. So what we're going to do is place them right sides together, those two mirror pieces, and we're doing the same thing for both the lining and the main. Sew them together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you can trim away some of the seam allowance and then top stitch each one of the sides of the seam allowance. And now your bag will also have a bottom, not just the sides and a front and a back. So this is for the lining, how it looks like when I stitch it and top stitch it. And I'll do the same thing for the main. Right sides together and sew it with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I love this pattern because it's not very feminine because of the square lines. It's a unisex pattern for sure, but my boys will definitely like it more than my frilly backpacks that I make. It has nice clean lines. And oh, I forgot to mention this, it comes in 3 sizes. So it comes in a small, medium, which is the one I'm making right now, and a large. And I didn't have enough fabric for the large, but then I checked the video for the large. That would be a great school backpack. It's plenty big. I think the medium would be great for like a day at the park. Alright, so this is how it will look like, so you have an idea. You've created the bottom and the sides. Set those aside for now and grab your strap pieces. So you'll have 2 of the main and 2 of the lining. And you want to, if you have a directional fabric, you want to make sure that it's placed with the correct direction. So my straps are directional. This is the bottom for both of mine. So I'm going to use the template and cut the bottom round like this. I'm basically rounding the corners. The lining is not a directional, so for the lining it doesn't matter. Okay, of course repeat with the lining. And we're going to sew the straps, each right sides together, lining and main, like so. And you're going to be sewing a big U like this all around the strap. So you're stitching like so. I'm just trying to make sure that, because I think the seam allowance varies. This one it's stitched with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Go slow around the curve. And now you can trim your seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna try to see if I can skip that step. Oh, and then you're gonna need to turn this, so this will be a fun adventure to turn it. I don't dislike a lot of things about sewing. Turning straps is one of them that I do dislike. This is my handy dandy easy turn tool. If this doesn't turn enough, it will. This is from Sew Sweetness. Or you can get them on Amazon too, I think, now. But I did get mine from Sew Sweetness. So hopefully it will work. Oh, I'm not a fan of turning straps. I might do the other one by pressing the sides, although it's not easy when you I'm not loving it. I need to figure out a dowel, to get a dowel and try to turn it with with the dowel. For everyone who missed the gym, this is a good workout. So for the other strap, I might try to sew just the round part and then press the seam allowances towards the inside and stitch it, because this is taking way too long to turn. Yeah. I do need to find a dowel. Alright, let me try the other strap, and if anything I'm gonna seam rip that and do it this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and press 1/4 inch on each side, like this. So with the sides, just the straight sides pressed 1/4 inch, I'm going to place them right sides together and sew the U just a few inches in. I need to save my sanity, and turning this strap is not helping me do that. Maybe because it's cotton lycra, maybe because it's foam, I don't know. Or maybe I just don't have enough patience. So I've sewn it just a few inches. Alright, so now I'll flip it, because it's much easier to flip when it's this little. Okay, see, with it flipped at the end. So now I'm just pressing 1/4 inch and putting clips throughout, and I will save my fingers from the torture of flipping the strap. I haven't pressed the part with the foam, but I did press the lining, so it's easier for me to use that as a guide. So this is pressed. I don't even know if having the foam not in the seam allowance, so making the foam smaller on the strap, would have made a difference when it comes to turning. I'm not willing to try. So I'll do it this way. And I know I'll be happy at the end. But you have to admit it looks really cute though. So let's do the same thing on the other side. maybe more time consuming like this, but your fingers will thank you. At least mine will. All right, perfect. And now I will just top stitch all around. Like this. You want as best as possible to have the folded edges aligned. Go slower around the curve. Beautiful and much faster. In the time it took me to flip that strap, I've done this one. All right, so I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other one. I might even go ahead and do 2 more extra lines of stitching, just decorative in the center. And I'll meet you back here in a little bit to continue adding the webbing. My straps are not complete, so we're going to add the hardware. The pattern calls for a ladder, like a ladder connector, which I don't have, and I don't plan on buying it just for this pattern. So I'm going to make some adjustments so I can use what I have in my house, which is I have this super cheap sliders from Amazon, I think, but I'm not a fan of the quality, though they might work for this. Or I have this much better quality and thicker sliders from Wizardry. This is the fixed one, but they come in fixed or adjustable or like movable center, like this one. So I'm going to create my, instead of using the ladder hardware that I don't have, I'm going to adjust my pattern to use what I do have, which are the 2 rectangles, well, oh, there's the second, and 2 sliders. So take your little piece of webbing, this is a 1-inch webbing, and slide 1 rectangle through it, fold it so that the raw edges meet on the inside, overlapping them 1/2 inch. And if you want, you can also make a stitch. Repeat with the other one. Again, overlap 1/2 inch. And I do want to make sure that they're the same size, since I'm working like I'm eyeballing it. Yes, now I'm happy they're the same size. So take your strap and measure on the round part 2 inches down and mark it. So 2 inches from the center is, from the bottom is right here. And repeat for the other one. So this is where you want to add your strap, so under it. Align the top to the line that you just made here, and sew your a 1 inch rectangle around it, and then do an X in the center for extra security. I thought I had, because sometimes if I throw away old purses or backpacks or whatnot that are broken or whatever, I tend to remove the hardware from them, and I thought I had some of those ladder buckles, but I didn't. From an old backpack, I never bought them. I think they're available on the Sallie Tomato website, because she sells bag hardware too, I believe. But I didn't want to invest in more hardware. Alright, so this is what it will look like when you finish it. And of course we're gonna do the same thing for the other side. Let's see if you can see the X in the center. There you go. Same thing for the other side. I think this webbing is from Amazon. It's one of those cheap ones, not the best quality. Like, this is not something that I would probably buy again unless I'm really strapped for cash, because it's very cheap, but you can tell it's cheap because I don't know if they rolled it when it was still hot, or it's not super straight. Like, see, it has like a waved angle to it, but it was also like $5 for 200 yards, so I can't complain. And since I'm sewing just for me and my family, I don't always worry about stuff like that. So the second one is done. If you have those ladder buckles, you would have attached them the same way I did right now, and then you would just move on to the next step. I will have an extra step because I'm using the sliders right now. So now take one of your long 16-inch, 16 is it? Yes, 16-inch webbing, and pull it through. And stitch it down. And with the wrong side up, so with the wrong side up, run your strap through your rectangle ring and then through the webbing, up and down, and pull it. So it will look like this. And then leave this will be attached to the back of the backpack. Put it on the side for now. I'll repeat the same steps on the camera just in case you need to see them again. So take your webbing, take your slider, push it through. If you have a right side or a wrong side, this is the wrong side up, and the slider is like this. And then you'll fold it over and stitch it down. So now with the wrong side up, so this is the wrong side, take your other end, slide it through the rectangle ring, bring it back, slide it through the slider, up and down, like so, and pull. And this is your strap that will go on the back. So set that aside for now. Take your back piece, which in my case is the main print, there you go, and measure 2 inches, I believe, down. 1.5 from the top. So measure 1.5 inches from the top and mark it with a line. I had to do some patchwork here because I ran out of fabric just as I was cutting my last piece, so I had to piece two together. That's why you see a seam here. Or we can cover it with a hand. Okay, so find the center. This piece is 10 inches wide. Oops. So the center is the 5 mark. And then you're going to measure um, 2 inches from each side. Let's see. Two inches from each side of the center. And that's where we'll place our straps and our handle. So you have one handle piece that you're going to lay like so. I feel like I'm not convinced that this is 2 inches. A vertical line. Oh, 1.5. Okay, so that's what I forgot. It's 1.5 on each side, not 2 inches. That's why it looked a little too wide. So it's 1.5 on each side of the center. So not 2 inches. This will disappear when I hit it with the... So the inside of your connector will be like this. 1.5. So let me stitch that down. the bottom line of the connector meets the 1.5 inch down mark. So this is how it looks like. Now we're going to add the straps. So with the right side up, we're going to center the straps to the connector. So this is how it will look like. And stitch it down. Again, I'm aligned with that line that we drew at the beginning. Repeat with the other strap. Same thing, I'm centering it. So it will look like this right now. And this is where my connector, my handle is. So now we're gonna cover this raw edge, because it has a raw edge, with the last piece of webbing that we have. This would be nice to do with a piece of the fabric. I might actually check to see if I have enough fabric left to make it with fabric instead of webbing, or not. So we're going to center this piece so it covers the raw edge at the middle point. And then you're going to stitch at the top and at the bottom. And you might want to go over a few times where the strap is, because there will be a lot of pressure. And now stitch along the bottom edge. So there you have it. This is how the back will look like. No more raw edges. And this is the back. So now we're going to have to add the straps to the sides. I just want to double check where. They will be 2 inches up, so this is what I remembered with 2 inches. So on each of the side bottom corners, mark 2 inches up. this is one. This is two. And you're going to place your strap, making sure that it's not twisted. So this will be like this. So you want to add it like this. And same thing for the other side. So with the right side up, bring your strap like this and place it here. And stitch that down and go a few times over it. Again, it will help with the pressure and the weight of the backpack. Ta-da! The back of your backpack is ready. I'm gonna start assembling the flap now, and then put it together. Super cute. Time to start working on the flap and the zipper. So for these steps, you will need your 4 zipper ends. Your zipper, that's depending on the size of the backpack that you're making, it will have a different length. Mine is 18 inches because I'm making the medium one. I put my zipper pulls. I made it a double zipper because why not? So now I'm going to start by adding the zipper ends. So with the right sides together, I'm going to sandwich my zipper ends along the, this is 2 inches, like this. And I'm going to stitch down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This will also create a zipper end. Like a zipper stop. Open your ends like so and top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the fold. We will remove any excess zipper, not zipper, any excess end when we stitch, not a big deal. Again, right sides together. stitch. So now take your flap piece, the right side, and place your zipper along it, like so, with the right sides together. It might be easier to find the center of the zipper and align it. And maybe snip a few, make a few snips along the zipper tape. I don't know if you can hear the background noise on the video, but if you can, my apologies. Florida, apparently all Florida trims their grass at 2 in the afternoon. Alright, so we're going to stitch this down with 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this is how it looks like from the right side. Now I'm going to sandwich the zipper with the lining flap. Let me trim this excess here so it's easier to see, and stitch it down. So now I have the right side and the wrong and the of the lining and the right side of the zipper and the right side of the main together with the zipper tape sandwich in between. So I'm going to try to stitch over the previous stitching line. I can move the zipper pulls now. And I could. Beautiful. Right after this step, we are ready to start assembling the bag. It was not a hard pattern. It really wasn't. So cute. So cute. Top stitch. Awesome. Your flap is ready. It will look like this. And this is from the lining. I had a little bit of scrap left, so I added it there. With this little boy who I don't know his name. And my boys told me at one point, Asi, Asa, maybe. I don't know. Okay. It is time to make magic happen. I went ahead and rounded all my corners. There's a circle pattern piece to use to round all your corners, bottom corners of the pattern. So right now we have a front and a main lining with the bottom rounded, a back and a front with the bottom rounded, and we also have the sides lining and main. We're gonna start with the front and find the center of the front pattern piece. We're going to match this center to the shorter side of the, you see there's a longer bottom and a shorter long side. The shorter goes in the front, so we're going to match the center to that. And pin it in place. And we're going to sew it down with 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm liking the size of this medium one. The small might have been too small for my almost 10 and almost 9-year-old. I think medium is perfect. There is a little video on the Sallie Tomato website that shows the 3 sizes on 3 different kids or adults. Okay, so this is how it looks pinned. So we'll stitch it down with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure that you go slow at the corner so there's no puckers. and you move your pocket out of the way, the front pocket. Alright, of course you're going to repeat the same thing for the lining. So you have a front, which is the smaller one, and your big long lining piece. Find the center. Oops, that was not the front, that was the back. And this is the front. And this you might want to sew with a slightly larger seam allowance than a. Start with 1/4 of an inch, then maybe make it a hair bigger than 1/4 of an inch, so the lining stays nicely inside the bag. There it is. My kids have asked me about their strike pictures all week long. They're so excited for this fabric because they cannot wear their clothes until I take pictures. They're not gentle with their outfits, so they know the rule. If there's strikes, you need to take pictures before you're allowed to wear them. So they've been asking all week, and I think I'll take them tomorrow morning. Have some happy kiddos. We'll be doing the same steps now for the back. So find the center back and match it with the other side, the remaining side of the gusset. Right sides together. Make sure that the straps are out of the way. You don't want to sew through your straps. And do reinforce your seams at the strap, where the strap's attached to the bottom. And stitch this down with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go slow at the curve so you make sure that there's no puckers. The bottom corner or 4 more corners. And of course, repeat the same step to attach the back to the lining piece. Remember to start with 1/4 inch seam allowance and then gradually increase it to 3/8 of an inch maybe. And then go back, or as you go back, return to 1/4 inch at the edge. Alright, so this is the main, this is my lining. Now we're going to be working with the flap. So you want to attach your flap right sides together, but to make sure that it matches perfectly, first mark the center of your front, and then mark the center of your front zipper, like so, and match them. Then we're going to match the sides. Just make them even here. And keep all your straps away. You don't want to sew through them. Before you close this circle, you want to make sure that you open the zipper up so you're able to work with it. Alright, so I open the zipper, pull your straps and your handle down, and close, and add your flap like so. And we're going to stitch this down with 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is how it looks like pinned. There you go. And the zipper is open here. I'm gonna try to stitch first the back and then go around. Because it might be easier. Might be. Here. Move your zipper pulls out of the way. Ouch! I caught my zipper. Oh, there. Oh, crisis averted. I thought I caught my zipper pull because it wasn't all the way out of my way. But crisis averted. So this is how it will look like with the right sides together. Now we need to attach the lining. So I'm going to first make sure that my front zipper is open, because you're gonna have to have that front zipper open to be able to birth your bag. So make sure that the front zipper is open. Then the flap, make sure that the flap is open. Slide your lining so it's right sides together with your main. And match the side seams like so. And then do place a few pins around so it holds it in place nicely. I'm gonna keep pinning. I'm gonna sew all around and come back to birth the bag with you and see. So, moment of truth, drum roll. I finished sewing around. It wasn't difficult to sew with POL. So now we're going to use this opening right here that we left in the pocket to pull everything out. And then we'll close the pocket. This is my favorite way of making a backpack. Without the dropping lining and through a pocket. Nobody will know it's there, and it was not difficult at all. Isn't this the most satisfying thing to watch? I love watching birthing bag videos. Alright, push your corners out. Double check that all seams are correct. There's no skipped seams, because you can still fix it now with your pocket being open. Push all your corners out. Where's my little pushy thing? I lost it. Here. I'm gonna just make sure that I push this corner out because it has a lot of layers on it. Other than that, everything looks perfect. This is so cute. Go ahead and make sure you give it a good press. If you've used pull like I have, you have to use a pressing cloth. I'm gonna try to stop stitch around. Zipper, and then close my pocket, because I think everything looks good. This is so cute. And it's gonna be even cuter once I give it a good press. So I'm gonna press like the seams. Super, super cute. I love it. Love, love, love it. Hope you guys enjoyed sewing this backpack with me. I'm gonna link, as always, everything that I am using. I'm gonna link it in the description. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of any new videos I'm posting. And thank you once again for watching. And as always, I'm available if you ever want to see certain bags, certain tutorials. Feel free to comment here or send me a message on Facebook, and I will gladly look at it.